So, ex Lamb of God drummer Chris Adler opened up recently about why he was fired from Lamb of God. Yeah, he started off saying, "My mom passed away. I was in the middle of a terrible divorce and had a motorcycle accident. And talked about this before. At the same time, in 2016, 2017, right at the end of 2016, I was diagnosed with something called musician's dystonia." Um, yeah, I didn't want to talk about it at the time, and I felt like it really hindered my career, but I've gone through an incredible amount of work to be able to come back from it. So I think it stems from there. But did an actual live interview, so we'll go from there and see what else Chris has to say.
Get into it, but I didn't want to talk about it at the time because I felt like it would really hinder my career. But I've gone through an incredible amount of work to be able to come back from it. What it is, and I've heard Alex Webster talk about this before, and I'm buddies with him. And recently saw the Nickelback documentary. I'm not the biggest Nickelback fan, but it's a great documentary if you haven't seen it.
I have, yeah.
Yeah, their drummer Daniel went through the same thing. It may have been with his arm or his hand, but he was diagnosed with dystonia. And for a drummer, really for anybody that plays an instrument, it's kind of a death sentence. So mine was with my right foot. Dystonia is basically a neurological condition where the nerve that controls the movement of any particular body part basically deteriorates to the point where that motion becomes impossible. So people that repeat the same repetitive motion for decades at a time, this happens to them. It happens a lot to like golfers, quarterbacks, first chair violinists, people that just practice the hell out of what they're doing.
Damn, that's crazy. I mean, I guess that makes sense. Right? I've always kind of wondered what are some of the long term effects of just spending decades doing something. It's like you have to get to a point where eventually you can't do it. People talk smack about these old bands that might use backing tracks or this and that, but it's like, dude, you're getting old. And the fact that it's like when you play big stadiums like that, you kind of need the extra help there. It sucks. It's an unfortunate thing, but yeah, it's even worse for people that have conditions like this, and especially a drummer, man. Ugh. I mean, I guess I imagine a guitarist would be pretty hard too. I don't think with anybody it'd be easy, right?
And this happened to me with my right foot. So I would be playing a song, and my foot, when I intended it to depress the pedal, would shoot off to the side or shoot back. And so I went through, and that was at the point where I was coming off stage just so depressed with my performance. I think the band was very frustrated, with my performance. I did give them, the medical paperwork. Here's what it is. Here's what we can do. There's just a couple songs that are really aggravating this. The rest I can get through if you're willing to change them. I know a lot of people that have symptoms of it but haven't been diagnosed with it. I think it's a little more common than some of the like lifelong players want to admit. I think they find ways around it, or I know a couple guys where it's like, okay, we're not going to play that song anymore because of this issue that I recognize after being diagnosed. But yes, thank you very very much for that. It was challenging, and it wasn't the easiest decision to continue even wanting to play. So putting myself through the work and getting to a point where now I'm very happy and satisfied with what I'm able to offer. It did take a minute, and I appreciate that.
Of course, of course. And, bringing that information to the project you were in, of course, being Lamb of God at the time, I'm still kind of surprised that they would have given you that email because, man, you were burned the pre-stage. You were at the very beginning. You were, I'll be honest here, when Randy was unable to do interviews for whatever reasons, you were the guy who was doing the interviews, doing the media, doing the talks like you're doing now. You really did do a lot of carrying, I think, at some point during that band. I could be wrong. So,
yeah, it does definitely feel kind of wrong with that, because, yeah, with fucking Randy just being, like, a horrible drunk for years. Obviously, it's been a long time since that's been the case, but I think Chris was just, like, such a huge, substantial part of it. Even just seeing, like, Philadelphia, just how calm and cool and collective he was. Through any circumstances, he always handled it so well. But, yeah, it's a little bit done a little bit dirty there,
I still to this day am a little surprised, and I've interviewed other guys in the band, and I've never really talked about it, but with you, I wanted to sort of say that I am a little surprised that separation happened, being that you were so ideal to that formula for that band.
It was devastating to me. It really was. Like I said, I really considered that kind of my life's work. But from my side of the street, I understand. I wasn't capable of playing the songs that we really needed to be playing. These were the songs that were not all of them, but there were two or three songs that were fairly popular songs, and I understand that that would cause them pause as far as why we can't play that. And again, with me taking on the Megadeth record and that doing so well, with me taking on the Protest record and that doing so well, I think the tensions were just high. And like the metal sites always say, everybody's replaceable, right?
Right.
I did take it hard. I did take it personally, and it sent me spiraling for a little while. But I've worked through those resentments, and I've got nothing but love for them, continuing on, and for each one of them. It was a difficult time, I think, for everybody, and
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't blame him for like being mad initially. I mean, yeah, the email, man. Maybe he wouldn't be so mad about it if it wasn't for the fucking email. That's like crazy. That's like, I don't know. Like I said, that's just kind of nuts to do someone been with for 20 years. It's one thing if you've been with him for like not that long, like a year or something like that. Then you could be like, okay, we can let you go via email, but your fucking lifelong friend, But yeah, I mean, I don't blame him. I guess for like the condition he has. It's everything else going on. Him being pretty preoccupied. Maybe there's some kind of feelings of like, oh, maybe you don't really need to be with us, but still, I think sitting down and having a talk with him would have meant a whole lot more instead of just fucking letting him go like that. But I mean, that's more like a personal thing. I mean, you can't really expect people to do what you want of them all the time. Yeah, it's too bad, man. I mean, God's doing pretty good. Chris seems like he's doing pretty good overall as well. Obviously, they could have been more class acts about it. They could just talk to him, but maybe, like I said, maybe they just. I don't know if they all live in different states or what. So they might have just, maybe not been able to get the time together to go see him, and maybe it was just kind of like a timing thing. Like, we need to get this done. So. But still, I mean, I think if it was convenient, then they should have definitely showed up and been like, hey, this isn't working out, got other things going on, let's, move on, you're doing well, we'll go on to do well. Thank you for everything. But an email is just so, it's so impersonal. I mean, I guess you could say it's, something you could do professionally, technically. I mean, but man, on a personal level, it's like, ouch, dude. But seems like he's doing good. It's unfortunate he had that whole disease, and it's honestly amazing he worked through it and got to the other side of it and had to find a way to rewire his brain to learn how to play drums again. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Therapy can do amazing things sometimes.
with things have drastically improved in my life. I've gotten remarried. We've got 3 teenagers. I've got a nice little house. We've got dogs, cats. Now I got firstborn that is keeping me busy all the time. So I could look back on that and really be very, very proud of the time, effort, and career that I had with them. And I wouldn't do it any other way. It's unfortunate it ended the way it did, but in the end, looking back on it, I also think that I was in that I was forced at the time to walk away from it. I don't know if there would have since that time. I don't know that there would have been a better time for anybody to depart. I mean, at least personally, I do feel like we achieved more than we ever set out to do, and it had gotten to the point where again, it doesn't really matter what the accolades were, but we had received basically all of them. So now it's just kind of this rinse and repeat, proving to everybody that we're still around.
Yeah, true. I mean, yeah, I mean, it's true. If you have accomplished what you maybe feel like you accomplished with that band, then I mean, yeah, maybe there wasn't really anything wrong with moving on. It's great, his life has come back together, and everything's fucking grand, yo. But yeah, yeah, I mean, best of luck to Lamb of God and Chris Adler. I think he's gonna keep going on to do some great things, because I always loved his fucking drumming, dude. I keep on going back to Philadelphia, but just watching him record and the way he played was just always just something. It was just insane to me, Always thought he was like really the best one out of the band, and like I said, the most professional, the most had it together. I think anytime you see a situation go on, he'd go in there and try to handle it the best he could without being out, because everyone else like gets into fights with Randy, but it seemed like he was always trying to handle it professionally. So Like I said, best of luck to both parties. We'll see y'all guys out there in the metal world.